charges. Whoa. But anyways, that's a beautiful sight right there. I wanted to say that. But today I'm going to be speaking on a topic of 3 reasons why I can't be a Muslim. Reason number 1 I'm going to give you. The creator of Islam, Muhammad, he comes 537 years after Jesus Christ has died and risen again. And he gives different accounts of which the people of the day, the eyewitnesses and people who walked with Jesus, talked with Jesus, seen him after his death and resurrection, he has an account that doesn't match theirs. And he says basically Jesus didn't die on the cross, that he was replaced at some point. And also he speaks on that Jesus not being the Son of God. Well, this is my take. If I'm going to believe an account, first of all, I'm going to take the person who was actually there, the eyewitnesses who died for their faith, was beaten, bruised, and absolutely humiliated for the sheer reason that they said they seen Jesus die and rise again. And to take away that is absolutely, it's an Antichrist spirit, which that's what it is. That's the truth. But it's just think about this. Like, say I'm at an event and then somebody comes 3-4 months later and they write down this event, and then a person goes and reads it, and then he says this is what happened. It's like, whose event are you going to believe? The person who was actually there, or a person who comes 3-4 months later and tells you and reads an article and says this is how it went down? All right, I'm going to take the person who was actually there. But this isn't a matter of 3 or 4 months. This is hundreds of years, 500 years later, 600 years later almost, he comes and tells his account of what's going on. And let's just think about this here. If I was to go and tell you what happened 100 years ago on what somebody who actually lived it and was there, like whose account is more valid? Whose account is more optimal to believe? And the answer is the eyewitnesses. So reason 1 I can't be a Muslim is the account, period. I have to believe the person who was actually there. Number 2, when I look at the faiths together, say Christianity and Islam, who's the leader of those faiths? Christianity, there's Jesus Christ, and Islam, there's Muhammad. And it goes to see who's greater out of the two, And you have on one side, there's a man who had 22 wives. He had married a 6-year-old. He was a warlord, and was very rich, lived in pleasures and many other things. I don't need to get into all the little details of which he lived. And then you have somebody who did mighty miracles, healing the sick, raising the dead, making the lame walk. He was poor. And not only that, he didn't kill anybody. He was innocent. And yet he laid down his life for his followers and for the world. People who hated him, people who were spitting on him, beating him and destroying him. And it says because of the love set before him, he endured the cross. And he said, I lay my life down willingly. Nobody takes my life. So he willingly laid down his life for all those the whole world, even those who hated him, not just believers, but if you don't believe, he laid it down for you also. And who out of those two is greater? The person, Jesus Christ, is way greater than Muhammad could ever be. He was sinless, perfect. And just on that sheer fact, there's who would I choose? What quote unquote religion? Even though Christianity isn't a religion, it's a relationship you have with the Lord. Islam, there's no relationship with God. When you're a Christian, we become children of God through the Lord Jesus Christ, because Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life, and no one comes to the Father but by him. And that's the second reason of why I can't be a Muslim, because being a Christian, following Jesus is greater than Muhammad. And even in their Quran, it's not Muhammad who's coming back, it's Isa, which is Jesus. So, and here we are, reason number 3. Number 3, the ways in which you get into heaven. And one way, we'll go with Islam, there's like good deeds and bad deeds. If you've had enough good deeds by the end of your life, then you can get into heaven. But in this regular life that we live, we have things like court, because there's going to be a judgment. And let's just say, when you stand before God, here on earth, we will say we done crimes, we're going to stand before a judge. And then you go to that judge and tell him, hey, I've done all these good deeds, I've done this, I've done that, and yet you've stolen, yet you've killed, yet you've been an adulterer, a fornicator, a drunkard, you've done any amount of sin, you've broken the law, period, point blank, but yet you tell that judge, hey, I did these good deeds, I sold Girl Scout cookies, I mowed these people's lawns, and that matters not. It's the fact the law was broken, so you have to pay the time. So in that in mind, that good deeds and these things, that goes out the window, because before a holy God, you sinned against him. And since he's eternal, you get an eternal punishment. And so it really makes no sense. It holds no weight, holds no water, because, we're all sinners, and if you sinned once, you've already failed. And so also in the Bible, it speaks, without the shedding of blood, there's no remission of sins, because life is in the blood. Your life is in the blood. That's why they sacrifice goats, lambs, and many other things, bulls. But yet it wasn't enough. That's why you needed Jesus. But that fact alone, with the shedding of bulls and goats, if you're not doing that in this day and age, there's no cleaning up for your sin. There's no way to clean up for what you've done. Without the shedding of blood, there's no remission of sins. So good deeds and all these other things don't help in your case before God. But with Christianity, it's not about my works. There's not enough works I can do to get into heaven. There's not enough works. It's by Christ alone. But also with Christianity, it says faith without works is dead. Because if you have faith in the Lord Jesus, you'll tell somebody about him. You'll have something to back that up, but you're not saved by that. It's only by Jesus Christ. So based on that, these points I've made, I could never be a Muslim. Sorry.